What's up, guys? It's your girl Wintana, and you are tuned into another episode of the Bittersweet Podcast. Before we get into this week's episode, I have to address some beef that's been going around. If you're from Australia, particularly from Melbourne, you know about the podcasters. I'm calling out Disruption and Talking Trophies. There has been some side comments, some shade going around, and I'm just here to address the whole thing because Talking Trophies, Disruption podcast, you guys are getting real messy. Okay, Disruption, you guys came in with the side comments, calling them silver medals. Talking Trophies, you guys clap back, saying this and this owed money, pulling out old photos. I don't know what's going on. Bittersweet, I know I'm the peacemaker. I know I'm the middle ground, the bridge between the two. So I'm here to address it. I'm here to just end the war. We just had a live show last week. So me, I'm confused. I'm baffled. I do want to address Noor for one comment with the rankings, saying that there's Disruption and then Bittersweet. The streets know. I'm going to leave that because I'm trying to come here as a mature woman and I'm not trying to add fuel to the fire. But we know. So that's that. Anyways, I feel like I've been summoned. All right, guys, we need to settle this. I'm not sure why they're coming for you. I'm not sure why you're coming for them. The beef is unnecessary. So it's looking like we're going to have to settle this at the next event in Melbourne. The next big summer event is Shoe to Shoe on the 14th and the 15th of December. So guys, I will see you there and we're gonna sort this out. Sorry to interrupt you guys with this announcement, but enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye.
I have been very faithful.
Because I had strict parents. One thing about me is I know how to lie and I know how to take it to the grave.
Absolutely. There are things that parents will never know.
No, never. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? I'm scared. People don't judge me. I feel like people will be judging me, side-eyeing me. Yeah.
But I have a bit of an addictive personality, so I know if I open the door, then I won't stop. One part of my growth, like growing up, I realized that all relationships are transactional. And then once you realize that, I think you can then start looking more intentionally at all of your relationships.
Yeah. I felt like I was boasting a little bit. All right.
I just look excited.
You ready? Okay. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Bittersweet Podcast. It's your girl, Wintana. And guys, today we have a Disney princess. We have a Disney princess on the podcast. You guys might have known or seen this girl around. She is a beauty and fashion influencer. She has made strides in her career, worked with huge brands like L'Oreal, Huda Beauty, Sephora. The list really goes on.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to bring you guys Tatenda Luna.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. Do people call you that a lot?
A Disney princess?
A Disney princess. Yeah. Every time I even told my sister yesterday, I was talking to her and I'm like, oh, I'm interviewing, do you know Tatenda? Like, we've all seen you on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. She's like, oh my God, she's a fairy.
Oh,
like,
it's so funny because like I feel like the people that know me the closest, or maybe like probably mostly my sister, she's like, I find it so funny that people call you a fairy or a Disney princess because if they only saw you at home.
If they know, yeah. But it's still, you're not like that at home either. I feel like you have this energy about you that's so like, just, yeah, Disney princess.
Oh, well, thank you.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you on. Obviously we met a couple weeks ago now at a few weeks ago. And yeah, I was just really excited when you said you were down to come. So I have a lot to go through with you in this episode.
I'm very excited.
Be-fore we get into it though, I always do a little icebreaker. So this one is a tweet that I saw online. And it said, what's something that you didn't know about men until you got with one? And the tweets were hilarious. Like, so this is...
Men are like, I used to be so scared of them. I used to be like, oh, they're such a mystery.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, okay.
They're so simple.
Yeah.
They're so simple, but also... No, actually, I do feel like men are quite simple. So the ones that I have here is that whole thing about the way that their heart being in their stomach is accurate. I once hooked up with a guy and met him on Tinder, made him breakfast the next morning, and he said that no woman has ever cooked for him. He looked teary and now we're married.
Oh, no, that's so sweet.
It really is though.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that those, I've seen stuff about people like women, this is like the other side of Twitter, I guess, talking about how women like lure men in and by obviously making them food and then now we're getting a bit into like African black magic and stuff like that. And then they'll put stuff in their soup to make them what's the word? They do those
Like
things
to make them like infatuated with them, to have, like, a love
make them
potion?
fall in love with
That's
them.
insane.
This is why your man
What did
can
they do?
never. What did they do?
Yeah. Do you know what it was that they put in?
You said, what's the recipe? I mean, this is why my man could never eat at someone's house.
Yeah.
You actually can't be doing that.
Absolutely not.
Because what is it, the saying? It's the food is the way to a man's heart.
Yeah, like it's through his stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So another one is how rarely they get complimented. I told a guy that I loved his shirt and he didn't even know what to say. I've heard that before as well.
Yes, I remember one time somebody complimented my man's hair, and he repeated that compliment to me for weeks. He was like, "Oh my gosh, they love my hair. They said my hair's nice. Do you really think my hair's this nice?" It's like, "Yes, I've been telling you this whole time. Your hair's
why didn't you
luscious."
listen to me?
Yeah.
That's really cute. I heard there's this guy, he's like a relationship expert, and he talks about women, like, how like there's like little subtleties that women can do, and complimenting is one, and buying men gifts is another one, because men rarely get gifts and compliments from men around there, so they feel really loved and appreciated.
It's something that we do just naturally.
Naturally, women.
But I guess they don't do it that often with each other.
Yeah, I also think that men don't. Like, they don't have the way that we have like a community of women, or like I can just call one of my girls and just talk to them randomly about my day. They don't do that.
Yeah. Or even just being like messaging your friend, being like, "Hey, is this outfit cute?"
Yeah.
Like simple.
They don't have that,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad.
I know. Shame.
And that's why they get really, when they fall in love, I feel like they fall in
Yes.
love hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, another one was my ex was shocked at how short a phone conversation can be with dudes. I think she was shocked at so he said, my best friend called me once and literally flew across the country once to be at our wedding. He called me and he said, "Do you still need a ride?" I said, "Yep, okay, I'll be there at 5:30, end of conversation." So it was just like, talking about how quick men can be.
That baffles me. It's also kind of boring.
Boring. Or I don't know if this is a thing that you've noticed with your partner, but when you're sitting at home and they're just very short with their responses, or they're just very quiet, I'm like, what's wrong?
I know.
What's going on?
Like, is everything okay? Like, what are you thinking about? Oh, nothing.
I'm just
Like,
chilling.
are you sure there's nothing on your mind right now? Like, yeah, no, I'm just vibing.
But why are you quiet? Because
Yeah.
can you give me some attention?
Right?
Okay, those were the main ones. And then another one was like, when they scratch your back with longish fingernails, I'm in heaven, which killed me. That's true.
Yeah.
I used to, I had an ex and I used to do like, just like sitting down and just like, I guess, rubbing his arms when I had like acrylics on, and he'd be like, this is
When
next
I'm in
level.
like my short nail era, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
when are you going to get your nails done again?"
So what's things with your partner that you've noticed that he loves that you didn't know before?
I think definitely the complimenting thing. He loves that. What else does he love? Oh, he loves like the way that the girls chat. He loves a chat. He loves a good goss session, like bringing tea home.
Really?
He loves that. And I
Wait,
was like,
I
I
love
didn't
that.
know that.
So how does it go? If he has tea, how does
Yeah.
that work?
He'll be like, "Tatenda, you'll never guess what happened, or you'll never guess who I ran into." And I'm like, because I was so used to guys having such boring conversations, it surprised me, because I was like, I didn't know you liked to chat like this.
Yeah. So if you bring tea home, is he excited to listen?
Yeah, he's all for it. We do a full debrief, especially sometimes if we'll be at an event together, we'll look at each other and we
Oh
just
my God,
know
I've
that the debrief on the way home will be so good.
It's so, I've seen videos like that, and I'm like that with my friend, where like, have you ever sat with, like, you're sitting with your friend or your partner, and then someone's even just like an action that they've done or something, and you just kind of look at each other like, girl, did you see that? Yeah. I love that. I'm trying to think of things that people I've been with in the past really like. I feel like I just think guys love being in a woman's space. There's something very calming, I think. So I don't know if you've noticed that. It's just like the routines that we have, skincare, all of that. I think that men love it. Candles, the ambiance of a space, and the energy of women. I think that they are just like drawn to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyways, that was like my little icebreaker.
No, I love it.
Okay, cool. So today I really wanted to talk all about you and your journey and just kind of how you've built your career. I think a lot of women, especially Black women, adore you. And I think it's kind of like a unicorn thing, because we don't really see women in Australia that are like in our communities that really kind of I guess like succeed, like not succeed, but are like growing in the space like this. So I'd love to see it first of all.
Thank you.
But can you take us back and talk to us about where it all started for you?
Okay, so I feel like the main catalyst was TikTok. Definitely kind of just after COVID, I was house sitting at a friend's house, and I was very much not going to download TikTok because I was like, it's all like the young kids are on, and I couldn't
Yeah.
really understand it. Then I did. I made a couple of videos. I posted them all in one go. I went to sleep, and I woke up to like a million notifications, hundreds of messages from different people being like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
Tatenda, did you see this? See this? I'm like, what's going on? And I'd gone viral,
Yeah.
obviously.
This is the first time you posted?
Yeah, so I
Wow.
I filmed, I think about like 7 videos and then I posted them all.
Yeah.
And then one of them just like caught on fire.
Yeah.
Which was like, it has nothing to do with the content that I make now. And when I think about it, it's embarrassing.
What was it?
It was just like a reaction video to a sound. And it was like, there must have been something about my face or my facial expression in that video that people were like, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
And then it went viral from there. And then I was kind of on and off, maybe for about a year or two, just trying to figure out what my thing was. Because I think one thing is once you go viral, or if virality is how you grow, it can get a bit hard to figure out what you need to do next to just keep that momentum.
Yeah.
I think, and then the numbers kind of, you get a bit desensitized because I obviously got 13 million views in that one video. Then my next video, I was like, oh, it's like only 2,000 people have seen it. But 2,000 people is still a lot
It's
of people.
still a lot, yeah. But then
Yeah.
it's hard to, I guess when you're comparing. Yeah. So for you, I remember when we first met and you spoke about, because I think finding your niche and finding your thing is really hard.
Yeah.
And you spoke about how you trialed so many different things. So did you go in wanting to be a beauty content creator?
No, I'd always thought it was a cool job to have because I was definitely very much a YouTube girl growing up in school. But it wasn't anything that I thought that I would actually be doing. I had always wanted to do fashion, so that's what my degree was.
Yeah.
But then my partner actually kept pushing me to keep making content because I was just kind of giving up. And then I was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. I should probably just stick to fashion. And then he was like, no, just keep pushing.
We love
and then I
that.
did.
We love a supportive
I
man.
know. I don't know if I'd be here
Yeah.
if he didn't push me to do that. And then I figured out that obviously people liked my face. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't do fashion. I can't do hair. I can't do personality things. The thing that I can do with my face is makeup. And so then that's where it went on.
Okay. So it wasn't, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So then for you, was it, and now you've kind of incorporated all of it. Like you do fashion, you
Yeah.
do beauty. Yeah.
It's still more beauty than anything.
Yeah.
It was actually more skincare to begin with. I think my first ad was with skincare and then makeup and then fashion.
One of my questions was going to be, what was your first viral moment like? But that happened to you just off the bat.
Yeah.
So then after that, how was it like, what point were you just, I guess, yeah, from there, like growing your account, was it just like focusing on beauty content the whole way through? Like at what point did you realize like this is going to be a career for me?
Probably my first paycheck, I think.
Okay, talk about it.
Yeah. So, okay, maybe my second paycheck, because my first paycheck, a brand had reached out to me for work. And then they were like, oh, what's your rates? And I was like, oh my goodness, what's my rates?
Yeah.
And so I said, oh, $300. At this point, I think I'd had almost 1 million followers on TikTok. So $300 was...
That does not add up.
I know.
That does.
I know. And then they accidentally sent me a contract, somebody else's contract, and they were paying them $1,000. And I was like, oh,
wow.
this is what I should have done.
So did you
So-
end up still going for the 300, but then like adjusting for the next time?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
But then I think by that time, I had management or other people that were actually paying, I guess, what I was owed. And then my first proper paycheck when I was signed to the agency that I had been with for the last 3 years, that's when I was like, okay, this is a career now.
Yeah, okay. Did you end up staying with management the whole time, or was it, do you have the same management you started with, or did you change?
I recently changed. So
Okay.
I was with an agent in the previous management,
Yeah.
and then they left that agency, and then I followed them just because we really had a good relationship with each other.
Yeah.
And our working relationship was just fantastic. So I just wanted to
I
keep
love
that going.
that. I feel like that's rare. I feel like I've heard a lot of people talk about how they end up in really like horrible contracts or just like, yeah, not the best relationship with their manager. So that's a blessing.
I know. I've been very blessed. I don't think I've had any terrible experiences. I did have an experience with an agency where I think they were just onboarding a lot of people in one go. So the experience wasn't as personal as I feel like management should be. But I was only there for a couple months.
Okay. And you started out in Perth, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when did you, like, how long were you in Perth for? Why did you move to Melbourne?
So I was in Perth for like 10 years, 12 years,
Yeah.
I think. I
Can
moved
we
to
also
Melbourne.
mention your, like, let's shout out your background as well. I feel like with this, we need, let's take it back. You were
Okay,
born in
all the way back.
Yeah.
I was born in Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
And then when we were about 2 years old, we moved to England. And then when I was around 12, we moved to Perth, Australia.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you, and what was Perth like?
I'll start by saying it was horrific.
Why?
Because the day that we arrived, it was Christmas Day in England, and it was the first time it had snowed on Christmas Day in like over a decade.
God.
And then we arrived, and it was the hottest summer Australia had had for Christmas, apparently in a long time as well. And so we arrived at the airport. It was 41 degrees. The flies were everywhere. We didn't know anybody, and I was like, "What is this country?" But then I grew to love it. Obviously, like you get used to everything.
Yeah.
Perth is so beautiful. Like the lifestyle is wonderful. The beaches are beautiful. I don't swim. It's nice to look at them.
I'm like you. I don't swim.
I don't
I'm
mess
like,
around with the ocean.
I mean, like, I might dip my toes in, and
Yeah.
every time I have friends that love the water, and I go in, and it's just a horrible experience every time.
Oh no.
Not horror. Do you know what it is? I don't know what it is when it comes to the ocean. My ears start to hurt when I'm like dipping full body into the water.
Yeah.
And then the waves and the sand when I get out, like I don't enjoy it. Yeah, so for me, I just like to kind of sit back and just watch it from afar.
You know what? That's fair. I'm a big ocean conspiracy person, so I feel like that's probably the ocean telling you shouldn't be in it.
So what's your ocean conspiracy? What do you mean?
Well, so I think just in a nutshell, people started exploring the ocean and then they were like, nah. So they've been exploring space since then to get away from the ocean.
Wait, how do you know that they stopped exploring the ocean to go to space?
Because it's just a lot of like TikTok deep dive videos.
Yeah.
So I think they went somewhere, like as deep as they could go. And I think they can go deeper, but then they were like, oh, actually, let's start doing space exploration instead. I think that's why Elon's obsessed with space.
What's the conspiracy with the ocean, though? Do you think that it's dangerous, or do you think, what is it?
Well, what I saw yesterday in my like 2 a.m. deep dive was there was this girl that was like in the beginning of the Bible, it was saying that there was darkness over the waters.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the Bible in Revelations, it was saying that there will be no sea in the afterlife. So then it's like, why? Maybe the darkness was actually not like visual darkness, but like evil, like creatures and stuff, darkness. And in every single like religion and culture, there's always like like mythical sea creatures, and they're all the same. Like their characteristics, the things that they do. And I mean, I feel like if in every culture you have the same myths, surely there's
there's something
you
there.
know?
I need to do my research.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there are some creatures in the ocean that we just don't know about, and
100%.
it like already the ones that they have there are kind of scary when you think about it. Like, what is an octopus?
Right?
Why does it have 8 tentacles?
No.
You know
Lobster
what I
is
mean?
yummy, but it looks scary.
It looks scary, and they all. I mean, whales. Why are they so big?
Killer whales? Scary.
R.I.P. sharks.
Oh.
Don't
get me started.
I think I would actually like play. I don't know what I would do if I was like just stuck out at sea. Immediately, I just want to die. I'd hope my body would go into like
I'd have a
fight,
heart attack
and just
and
I would
go.
hope that would happen to me.
Sure.
Like, just kill me now before I have to go through the
Absolutely.
horror of
just the thought is
experiencing
like
that.
sending me halfway there.
Yeah, but no, I don't like. I'm just not a big water girl.
No, I feel like I am. I love it.
I love looking at it.
Yeah.
It calms me.
I love a bubble bath.
I love that. That is very beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm also, I don't know if this makes a difference. Like, I'm a Cancer.
Same.
Wait, this is the connection right now.
Oh my gosh, when's your birthday?
July the 7th
Oh, 22nd.
of July?
Yeah.
That's it. You're a July Cancer. I love that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're supposed to
That's
be like
probably
water
it.
babies,
Yeah.
but it's just not registering.
I love living near a body of water.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've lived near like the ocean and the river because it's like calming to look at.
Yeah.
If I think too much about it, I'll start to panic.
Do you know what it is for me? The temperature. I think the older I'm getting, I love winter, but I love the sun. I really love the sun.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
the closer I get to the sea, I feel like it's colder and it's a bit more like, I don't know, the temperature changes. That annoys me a little bit.
It was the darkness over the
The
water.
sea.
That That's one thing I could probably get cancelled for.
Get us
like
out,
my
why?
ocean conspiracy, like
Why would you
craziness.
get cancelled for that?
I don't know. I always try and think
That's
of
kind
like,
of
what's my
interesting.
potential red flags? That
What
could
are
be
your?
one.
Do you feel like that's your potential red flag?
Yeah, like believing in all these conspiracies.
I feel like that's not a red. I think that makes you interesting. It's
Oh.
like, what is she like? I wouldn't have known you're
Beige
interested in
flag.
that. Beige flag. I'm trying to think about what my red flags would be. I feel like I have a lot of red flags. Maybe that I am. Oh,
Are you
I'm
okay?
trying to think of my red flags. I think I have double standards when it comes to men and women.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Sorry, they just exist, and I can't.
Yeah.
I can't get rid of that. I don't know. I'm sure some will come up if we like maybe
I
like
feel like
look
as
back
we
at my
talk-
episodes as well. Like
we got
I know,
so
we
sidetracked.
got so sidetracked, but I love that. I love that because it's like I want people to see like a version of you as well. That's like, what is she like? You know? Okay. Let's go back into this conversation. Okay, so we were
In
talking
Melbourne.
about you coming to Melbourne.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I moved here because I think one of the main things that finally then pushed me to move was I got invited on a brand trip, but then they didn't have the budget. It was a very big brand. They
Yeah.
didn't have the budget to fly people from Perth. So they were like, oh, we're only flying Eastern state people.
Oh, so you had to fly yourself out?
Oh, no, I just didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go? Okay.
Yeah. And then I moved to the Eastern states because I think building that relationship with brands in person makes the biggest difference
Yeah.
in your career growth and then like the opportunities that you get. So it was going to be Sydney, but then I'd never been to Melbourne before. My partner had been to Melbourne when he was 16, I think. And he was like, let's do Melbourne. And so neither of us had been to Melbourne recently.
Yeah.
And so we moved and we were like, if we don't like it, we can always just go back. But we love it here.
Does Melbourne make more sense to you than Sydney?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like you're either one or the other. Do you think that this is something that I've been like talking to myself a lot recently about when it comes to networking and like obviously it's really important to kind of develop that like face-to-face relationship with brands and just kind of be like actually go to the events and meet the people. Do you think it makes sense to invest in yourself in that way at the very start, like even if you are paying for your own trips and doing those things? Is that something you would advise people that are at the beginning of their career to do?
100%. That's what I did. So I think for the first year and a half, I was paying for all of my
Travel? Yeah.
So I think it was only last year, because I would go to Fashion Week. Last year, I think this year was my 4th Fashion Week. My first 2, I paid for myself to go and I paid for my own accommodation.
Oh, really?
And then the last 2, that was all sorted out.
Yeah, as it should be.
As it should
As
be.
it should be. What's the state of? I think obviously one thing is I wanted to talk about the state of the diversity in the beauty space in Australia. Obviously, you're a Black influencer, content creator. How has it been in terms of, I guess, like the inclusivity of products and the products that brands have when it comes to like shades and all of that stuff, but also when it comes to the events and the way that they like, do brands really stand on business when they say that they're trying to be inclusive, or do you feel like it's more like they're showing face?
I think, okay, so starting with products. When I first started, I would always just get the same, it must have been the same PR kit that they were giving to everybody. So it was all just like the light shades. They didn't even have my foundation shades for that. And then even when I was shopping, like obviously you would know, it was always just hard to find your own shade just like in the drugstore. Now it's gotten a lot better. I do think there are some brands that are doing it just for the visuals. But I think there's been a lot of change recently, I think. One of the brands that I know that has been standing on business in terms of shade ranges, inclusivity, in terms of who they work with, who they invite to things, definitely would be Fenty on the higher end and then L'Oreal on the more affordable end.
Really, L'Oreal. Actually, I have seen a lot of beauty influencers speak highly about L'Oreal recently, which I really love. And Fenty, of course, because I spoke to Jeff. You know Jeff Kasubi?
Yes,
Yeah, and we were talking about how, he's so sweet. We were talking about how actually like you could, like last year Fenty's, was it last year's event, the Fenty event compared to this year? How the change. Yeah, I mean, like you could see more diversity in the room the following year. And I think that just speaks to the way that Australia is changing and we're moving in that space. But I definitely still think that there's a lot more that we can do.
I think the change for that was definitely internally.
Mm.
The person that was in charge of influencer relations at the time was a white woman, and now it's a black woman.
I heard about that.
She's
So
amazing.
shout out to her.
Yeah.
It's for Max Cosmetics or Max, no, what's it called?
No, she's brand side directly.
What's the brand
But,
side?
yeah,
So
so
she
then-
works for Fenty?
Yes.
Oh.
So the events, they have like a different agency that runs their events,
Mm-hmm.
but then I guess they would have the final say on guest lists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you personally had any challenges that you've gone through when it comes to diversity in the space?
Yeah, quite a few.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
so- Yes, I have
Your
actually.
face lights up. I'm like, okay, talk to us.
I think my default whenever I'm about to say anything bad is just to smile, maybe to like
Okay.
soften the flow. Last year was, I think it was around this time last year, October. Like, it was such a difficult month and there was just so much going on. But then in the 1 week, I had 2 or 3 different brands send me shades for ads that were due in the same week that they sent the product that were completely wrong. And I was like, I don't even know how I can film for you if you're going to keep sending me
the wrong shade.
the wrong shade. And then also, why are you sending me the wrong shade? It's 2023. Like, what's going on? So there's that issue. But then now I've started like to ask for shades. There's a brand that I'm talking to right now, and I have to do an ad for them. But then I said, oh, can I have this shade specifically? And they're like, oh, we don't have it. So, but they have it in America. So I think it's an Australian specific thing. That's the issue. But Australia will like catch up eventually.
Yeah.
It'll just take some time, I think.
It takes time, but I also feel like you need to put in the effort. Like, I feel like
Absolutely.
if you have, because I do think that they'll put the, they'll make those efforts for the influencers that are on their roster now that are white. And I think that you need to just be mindful.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to have, because you've obviously got like a highly engaged audience. There's a lot of benefits for them working with you. So it only makes sense for them to kind of be mindful and also like inclusive when it comes to those things and stand on that. So
And generally, if they're not, then I won't work with them.
yeah.
So like another example is the amount of times that I've had a brand like book a makeup artist for me and it's gone completely horribly. So ever since my last one where I actually felt like I looked worse after getting my makeup done than I did
Really?
before, I was like, no, I can't do this again. Now anytime I will pick my own makeup artist. And then I'll also like always try and pick a black makeup artist specifically.
Because they obviously understand as well. And do you, when the brand sent you the wrong products, do you end up doing the campaigns? Do you end up sending it back? Like, how does that work?
The last time I sent so I drafted up like an email and I was like, okay. And then I sent it to my manager and she kind of worded it like businessy, but still kept it like kind of strongly worded. And they're very apologetic. I think it was good to have that conversation with the brand as well. I think that's why having a personal relationship with brand reps is really important because they took that feedback on really well. And then since then they've made changes.
Okay. Love that. Take accountability.
Yeah.
I wanted to pull up this video. There's an influencer called Golloria. She's based in, I want to say, either Canada or America.
Yes. I think America.
Is she American?
I know. She's in Texas yesterday.
Okay, well then yeah, she's American. She's South Sudanese, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure. And she was talking about the wage gap in I guess in the influencer space, especially when it comes to beauty content creators.
Yeah.
She's quite well known, like the girls know about her.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you this video so we could do a little chat about it.
I know that I'm not getting paid as much as these other beauty creators, even though I feel like in terms of engagement or followers, I feel like I'm up there. I feel like the beauty girls know who I am, right? But I know I'm not getting paid as much simply just because I'm black. And there's that wage gap, and I feel like the conversation needs to be had, but I also feel like people need to be open to hearing the conversation, and I feel like a lot of people aren't open to hearing the conversation.
Well, if you were going to have the conversation here, what would you say?
Literally, like, pay black creators, have black people in the rooms, invite us on the brand trips, have black people on your teams. If you actually want to stand by inclusivity and have that be a pillar of the groundwork that you do for your company, stand by it.
Yeah. Which was obviously just period to everything she was saying. But in your experience, because for people that, just to summarize the video, it was talking about how like there's a huge wage gap when it comes to black content creators. Is that something that you've experienced yourself? Just from like chats and...
I don't know. I think, so in terms of the pay system,
Yeah.
American influencers get paid a lot, and then it goes UK and then Australia.
Really?
Because Australia, the influencer industry is actually still very young. So the amount of money that businesses and brands are willing to put into influencers is less at the moment, because I think that trust with influencer marketing is still growing. So I think that's why it's less. And also, I think another culture in Australia is that kind of tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
So people don't really want to share their success because of that. And so I do have wage conversations with my friends, but it sounds like we're kind of on the same.
Similar.
But I guess it just also depends on the amount of followers you have and the amount of engagement you have. So I personally haven't seen any big difference, I think. Yeah.
Which is good. That's really
the biggest
good,
difference I would see is in opportunities, not pay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in terms of, are you just saying like other influencers with the same or maybe less or whatever it is, similar followers as you end up getting more opportunities?
Yeah, so things like, I guess it just depends, like things like trips or events or campaigns. It's just different.
Yeah. I went to an event a while ago. I was invited to an event and it was it was a big brand, and I was just invited to come for a launch. So I got there, and then one of the people that were working in the like internal like part of their team was talking about how she was a Black woman, and sorry, no, she wasn't working in it. Her friend was working in the team, and she spoke to her about how some of the influencers that were white influencers actually got paid and flown out to come and got paid to be there, whereas the ones that were us that were just there was, and it might have been the following count and things like that, but I did notice that it is I feel like when you don't have access and when you don't have the knowledge, you end up getting left behind, or you end up like falling short with opportunities. So it kind of does suck as well, because I do feel like it still exists here. It's just, in that way.
100%. I do feel like they take a lot of influencers, and especially smaller influencers, for a bit of a ride, because they don't know what they're worth, and they don't know what they can ask for and what they should be getting.
Yeah, which is a learning curve as well. I think you like grow to learn all those things. But yeah, it gets really, it can just be a bit of like a crazy experience.
Yeah,
what has
100%.
been like the highlight for you, I guess, through everything that you're doing?
Ooh. I think one of the biggest highlights, especially recently, because I got nominated for Fashion and Beauty Creator of the Year. at the
Yes,
TikTok Awards, which is
congratulations.
fantastic.
I put my vote in.
Oh, thank you very much. You can vote every day. Oh, it actually closes tonight.
So you can vote more than once?
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Every day, once a day, until, I guess, tonight.
Okay.
But I was telling my partner, I was like, in the last couple of weeks, I've had lots of messages of people saying that they've been voting for me, but then also saying why, which has been so
that's
amazing.
beautiful.
So I think that's a big highlight, getting messages. Like I got a message a couple of weeks ago from a girl that was saying she doesn't know how to be like the tough Black woman that is often portrayed. And she was like, I've never felt that way. I've always felt really soft, and you've encouraged me and inspired me that I can be in my softness, and like how to feel beautiful. She's like trying makeup, and she's like she said she was trying to find her magic.
That's so
and I've been a part of that
beautiful.
journey, which has been incredible.
That's really beautiful,
Yeah.
especially hearing it from like other women that are, especially Black women. I always feel very like, when it comes from our own, it feels really,
it feels like even more impactful,
meaningful.
I think.
Yeah.
And there was one girl, actually, she messaged me saying that she used to bleach her skin.
Wow.
And she, after seeing my videos, she was like, oh, I actually love having dark skin. And so she stopped bleaching, which is fantastic.
I love that. And that's why, honestly, the conversation of representation can get tired. Like everyone always says, it's just like this, the same thing that you're repeating, which I get, but it's so important, because if people didn't have like examples to look at, they just wouldn't, one, feel beautiful, feel like they can actually exist in those spaces.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I think it's really beautiful. I also want to talk about your brand. So again, it's really exciting that you are, it's interesting that you're a beauty influencer, but you started off with fashion, and now you're opening up your fashion. Now you're launching a fashion brand,
Yes.
a label. So talk about it.
Well, I actually had my own label. I think I started it when I was 19 or 20.
Okay.
But then I was doing that. I was working full time, and I was also then now growing in socials. And the growth in socials really helped with my business, because as I was going viral, people wanted to buy more from my business. But I was making everything by myself. I was living in a tiny apartment with my sister.
Making like sewing?
Yeah, like sewing everything myself. I
okay.
was doing corsets, which like if you know how to make corsets, it's a very technical process. It's just intense. It will take like a couple of hours just to make one.
Yeah.
So then I burnt out, obviously.
Yeah.
And
You were
it's been
selling them too?
Yes, yeah. I
Oh,
was selling them,
wow.
doing the packing, customer service. I do not like customer service at all.
Yeah.
I think that's
Dealing with
something that
people? It's
yeah,
just-
dealing with
yeah,
people,
it's too
no.
much, yeah.
And then obviously as a designer, you take things so personally. So if somebody wanted a refund, my first refund, I cried because I was like, I can't believe they want to send it back. But it wasn't really that deep.
Yeah.
So now I'm starting it again, definitely with more resources, more support, and I'm just very excited.
Are you making it yourself or do you
no.
have like a manufacturer?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it also means that I definitely appreciate, or having that fashion background, I appreciate construction and I appreciate the prices that some
Yeah.
brands charge for their product. But then sometimes I get a product from a brand, like a gifting, and then I look at how much the product actually costs. And I'm like, I know
Yeah.
that you did not pay that much to get that made because
Yeah.
like the production quality is just really low.
Also, it depends when it comes to like fast fashion and when you know that brands are, I feel like there's so many layers to this. If it's like locally made, sustainable, like where the manufacturer's from, all of those things matter.
Yeah.
And then, because then when you start to see it's just the brand that we're paying more for the brand than we are for the quality and the product, I'm like side-eyeing it a little bit. Or I'm like,
And
I
like
don't know if it's
branding
worth
is
it.
very expensive.
Yeah.
It's an expensive thing to invest in, but it is a one-off cost. So it doesn't mean that you're constantly paying like 50K for branding.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions with manufacturing is that everything made in China is bad. It's just not the case.
Yeah. But then you have, I agree with that. It's, anyway, let me not get into it. Because I'm thinking of brands like, you know how you've got your brands that are like the medium, I guess like, what am I trying to think of? Let me not say anything.
You don't want to like name drop any
I don't want to name drop.
Cease and desist.
But I just feel like that there are some brands where I'm like, I've seen the fast fashion labels have the same item.
The question is, who did it first? Was it the small brand or the fast fashion brand?
True.
Or was it the fast fashion brand and then the
Small brand followed? Or like, I don't know, is it like, was there a third party where it's being sold somewhere else and then both brands just bought from it? Like, is it, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Because how are they getting the exact same product?
Oh, yeah, no, I get what you mean. There's
get
no
what I'm
originality.
saying?
It's
There's
definitely
no-
coming from one like manufacturer.
Yeah. Oh, you're
like
talking about
wholesale.
labels and things like that. I'm talking about wholesales. I'm not talking about like people that have their own label. But
Oh, okay,
even
yeah.
when that happens, I do see a little bit of like a double up as well. And I'm like, I don't know.
I know. My thing is that there's nothing new under the sun. So I like,
True.
I'm never like, oh, this is a one of a kind.
We have to
thing.
recreate and it's just the price tag that's put on it.
Yes.
But also you're right, because if you've branded yourself well, I think that matters too. And how you step out as a brand from the beginning also matters, because you have a price point, a target audience. People are going to want to buy it for that much, regardless of where else it's being sold. Anyways, I'm really excited for the launch. When can we, or what kind of stuff are we expecting?
We are expecting. Okay, so my whole idea with starting this brand was to be able to have beautiful pieces that you can wear every day, that wash well, that wear well. So think about like your favorite dress or something, for example.
Okay.
So I wore a dress to a premiere a couple weeks ago. I wore it one night and there was already rips in it, like by the end of the night. So something like
rips
that.
in it?
Yeah, like just from it being on the floor.
Yeah.
So something that's just really beautiful that you're not afraid to wear every
Yeah.
day. You're not afraid to wear it like grocery shopping or to like a wedding, something like that.
Okay, I love that. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
I'm not going to end the launch. We is still pending.
Pending.
Okay, let's get into the next segment. This segment is called Bitter or Sweet. So I'm going to give you these paddles.
Thank you.
So bitter means you disagree and
Okay.
sweet means you agree. I'm going to give you two scenarios. First one here is wifey duties before you get a ring. Bitter or sweet? Big bitter.
Absolutely bitter.
Talk about it. What's a wifey duty for you that you would think that you wouldn't do until you get a ring?
A wifey duty would be pretty much anything domestic. Like
You said I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning, I'm not.
no, I
Okay.
think things like things like cooking I would do because
Yeah.
like, I love cooking. So things like cooking for a date night. One of our favorite date nights when we were dating was like making salmon rice balls. Like,
Yeah,
that was really fun.
That's nice.
Something like cleaning your room, no.
Yeah.
Or doing your laundry, no.
Yeah.
Unless,
That
but
is
I feel like
difficult.
maybe like half, because like the wifey duties, I think you can do. Let's say if your partner's having a really rough week and you're like, oh, let me help you out. But it's not something that is then expected to be done all the time.
I get that. And also I feel like things that I don't know, because there are things also that I don't necessarily see as a wifey duty, but it might be like cooking. Clean, maybe not cleaning after you, like cleaning after you, things like that, but there are some things I don't mind doing. Like I actually enjoy like cooking for you, or and it has to be balanced. Like I need to see it being done for me, or if I cook you clean, things like that. But I think that there has to be like a limit on it, otherwise they just get too comfortable.
But if he's doing hubby duties, then I don't mind doing wifey duties.
What is See, this is where I said my toxic traits will come out.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's also kind of almost like you're practicing how to work together when you then live together.
Yeah, I understand that. I think for me, I'm realizing that I need to let go a little bit. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to give too much at the start because, again, like it's this thing where I don't want them to get too comfortable. But also I feel like I'm a princess and can you take care of me?
But then isn't the effort of thinking I don't want to give too much, is that not draining? Because you're thinking, oh, I need to pull back, like you're constantly pulling
It can be because you're not like being, you're not organically moving. You're just kind of thinking, oh, actually, maybe let me not do that. That's a bit too much. And sometimes the overthinking that can get really draining. So I've noticed that for sure. I think maybe it's like a trauma response.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or it could be like a Cancerian thing. Everyone says we're very emotional, but we're also kind of a bit like vindictive.
Yeah, we are. There's the other side to it as well. Like, and very calculated. We know what's going on.
Very mastermind.
Yeah. So that could really be it. But I will say I'm going to stick to bitter.
Okay.
And I'll do like, half. Like I'll cook. I'll do a little bit of like the clean. Like, let's just say cook.
Okay.
Next one. Bitter or sweet, would you die with your lie when it comes to an affair?
I will say, I'm going to say bitter because I would try. I would try to die with my lie, but I don't think I could do it. Because one day I'll be crying every day and he'll be like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. But I do know.
You do know.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? I feel like, I don't know if I want to air myself out.
But then we were saying it depends on the affair.
It depends on the affair because, okay, listen, I think I could take it to the grave. So I'm going to say die with my lie sweet. And this is the scenario I could take to the grave.
Okay, we have to then get
We have to delve in because
there's
otherwise
no straight
people are
answer.
going to be like, she is just crazy. You know what I mean? And the thing is, I think I can just be like, convince myself so deeply like that happened and we move on. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would die with my lie if we were married, okay, we had one child, I was on a girls' trip, and I had a holiday romance, and that was it. It was purely one and done.
But
Maybe
like,
it was.
But was it like, how far did we go?
Okay,
in this
let's say we kissed.
Okay.
I think if we kissed, and maybe we went on, like it was like a romantic date. It was a kiss. There was like chemistry in the night, in the air, and all of that, and then we kissed. I don't know if I could die with my lie if we slept together.
Oh, because that's what I'm thinking with affair. I couldn't die with that.
I mean, if I had to die with my lie, because if my relationship was on the line, like my man was like, that is my ultimate like deal breaker. I can never go back from it.
Is that not a deal breaker for everybody?
No, some people it's not actually. Some people will say if we were so deep in it, we had kids. Well, more women actually. Women would say that I think I could forgive a man that cheated on me one time.
Right.
Because there's too much at stake.
Which I understand.
It's really hard actually because I feel like in the moment I will feel really guilty.
Yeah.
I will, because especially if my partner is just like, we're very committed to each other. He loves me. He's honest and caring and all of that stuff. I feel like, I think it's really hard because are you lying? Are you telling them the truth because you feel guilty, or are you telling them the truth because they deserve to know the truth? What is it here though?
To then get it off your chest would probably feel great. But then if you know that they could live the rest of their lives happily, not knowing and still loving you, I don't know. But I'm also of the firm belief that like we weren't built to only love one person.
I think so too.
So you might meet somebody just somewhere like on a holiday and you're like, oh, I could have had a full, loving relationship, life, family, kids with this person,
Yeah.
but I haven't because I have chosen this person, specifically.
That's where love is a choice.
Yeah.
Yes. So then what do you do?
I don't know. I just don't cheat.
You said just stay away.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I would stay away too. But
Yeah.
if it happens.
But if it happens, I'd have to say something. I'm a lover girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't say something for a while and then it would come up.
If your friend cheated, what would you tell them to do?
Oh, if my friend cheated. I don't know, girl. I'll probably tell her it depends. It really depends. It's really hard. I think it really depends on like how it happened, how long they've been together. There's so many variables to it. I think if it's your husband, tell them.
Yeah.
If it's your boyfriend and it was a one-off and it would never happen again, I think I would say like we can just keep this one. Do you know, I think it all comes down to, it doesn't come down to me. Like, it's not that I don't want to tell the truth. I think there's a big fear of losing out. Like, obviously my partner breaking up with me and leaving me. I think that's where it comes from. So maybe it is a great feeling though to just have it out in the open and them know that you did that, and then just like either they choose to accept you. And if you stay together, I think the relationship will be a lot stronger. Yeah. Because there's something about your partner knowing that you're not perfect and still choosing you that feels really nice. That I think is really like...
That's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful for a relationship. It's just when they think that you've done no wrong and I think... Yeah. Actually, I'm going to change. I'm going to say I can't take it to the grave because I also feel like... We are. Do you know why though? Let me say it's not because I think it's because I want them to know that I'm not perfect.
Yes.
I don't want them to think that she's just like this great person, and I don't want to also feel like I've manipulated them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that will change the dynamic between us, for me.
Especially depending on how long you've kept the secret as well.
Yeah.
But I have a bit of an addictive personality, so I know if I open the door, then I won't stop.
Oh, girl,
Do you know what I mean?
I was like, as in telling them what, like the truth?
Oh, no, as in like cheating.
Oh, cheating.
Because then I'm like, once you open the door for extramarital affairs, how do you then close it? And the only way you close it is through accountability and them knowing.
Yeah. And then knowing that you could lose. Yeah. You could lose something.
I have been very faithful.
Is it full? Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of scared of myself. I feel like if I really like
if we all wanted to, we could.
Because I had strict parents. One thing about me is I know how to lie, and I know how to take it to the grave.
Absolutely. There are things that parents will never know.
No, never. What do you mean? I'm scared. People don't judge me. I feel like people will be judging me, side-eyeing me, but you know, that's life.
No, that's real.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the last segment. Okay. This is the dilemma segment. So we have our listeners send in a dilemma every week. This one is a friendship one, and it starts off by saying, lately I've noticed something off about one of my closest friends. She's always been there for me, or so I thought, but I've been feeling more and more like she's not really supporting me. Whenever I share my accomplishments, whether it's career milestone or something personal I'm proud of, she either waters it down or doesn't acknowledge it at all. It's very subtle, but the more I think about it, the more it stings. I used to value our friendship, but now I feel like she doesn't really care about my wins and maybe even feels threatened by them. I used to be excited to share my life with her, but now I feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, unsure if she's genuinely happy for me or if she's just pretending. I don't want to jump to conclusions or make it a big deal, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I can keep investing in this friendship where I'm not being or feeling supported. Do I confront her about my feelings, or do I slowly distance myself and let the friendship fade? How do I handle the situation if it feels like someone's pretending?
Ooh,
yeah,
that's so sad.
Very sad.
That's happened to me before, and I just phase it out.
I was gonna ask you, have you ever had like a friendship? Yeah, like a friend just feel threatened by you?
Well, I feel like it's something that I didn't clock until somebody else had said it, like another friend of mine, because it's something that you. Especially if it's someone that's a close friend that you love so much, you make excuses for their behaviors. Yeah. You need an outside perspective to be like, oh, actually, that's a bit weird. So it's only when I then started comparing one person's responses to another person's responses, I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. That just doesn't seem right. Yeah. And so I just phased it out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think it's happened to me as well. And I did something similar where it was just like, it was very subtle. It was one of those things where you kind of just clocked the way they responded to small things that were happening that I would get excited about. I'd be like, oh my God, this is happening. And they'd be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Or just like, just almost, just not really acknowledging it. So I kind of get what this person's saying. And I started to feel how uncomfortable I was telling them things that were happening to me.
Yeah.
Or if they asked me, I would like skim through it really quickly
Yeah.
because I felt like I just wasn't going to be, I felt like, I don't know, not that they felt threatened, but almost like, I don't know, you don't want to feel like, I felt like I was boasting a little bit or, you know, I was talking about it and I was really proud of myself and I just didn't get the, like the energy that I wanted back from my friend.
It really like brings your energy down and like, I don't know, it taints your accomplishments as well.
Yeah, so I noticed that was happening and similar to you, I just distanced myself from that friend over time. Do you have a confrontational personality?
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
same.
But it's also not hard to distance yourself because the people that you love, you generally, your automatic response is to share things.
Yeah.
So then once you stop sharing things, you're like the closest in that relationship just kind of fades away anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But how do you do it when they're a really close friend? Like very, very close to you?
I don't know. I just fade away. I like,
Yeah.
my calendar clears up. I can't pick up phone calls.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably not like the best, but I think because I've seen it happen with somebody else where they confronted the relationship and then they were like kind of almost gaslit because they were like, why do you think that's the case? Like, you don't ask me about my accomplishments, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't the case. So it just kind of opens up for something a bit more explosive than necessary, I think.
Yeah. I hate a friend that, like the whole, you never call me, you never do that. It's like the phone works two ways, honey.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I feeling guilty every single time?
But then if I care about that person as well and I care about the friendship, I would probably bring it up with them because I'm like, I want this to be a friendship that lasts.
Yeah.
But also they might be going through something, so maybe you distance and then you come back again at some point.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Which is okay. I feel I've figured out like a tier system with my friends now.
I love the tier
So
system. You never tell people what tier they're on.
No,
but
you never tell, but you know. And because I used to do this, I used to get really upset by certain friends. Like I don't know, maybe I'd invite you to something or I would, you know, I just have this expectation like, and my expectations are not high. Like I feel like a lot of my friends, most of us are very like low effort friendships, which is calm. It works for us really well. But, you know, for certain things, it's like I've invited you somewhere or, you know, I expect you to kind of just like reciprocate the energy that I'm giving you. And I felt like I wasn't getting that from some friends. And it just like a shift happened basically. So what I started to do is like, I've got my friends that I'm really, really close to. We talk all the time. We're all on the same level when it comes to kind of like what we expect from each other and what we like how we pour into the friendships. Yeah. And then the other ones still, it's the same love. All the love is there. The expectations are just not as high. Yeah. I don't expect you to call me. I don't expect you to check in on me. We don't see each other regularly. And that for me, I just started to get less and less offended. Like it's like I just don't have that expectation of you. Yeah. But you're not on that tier. You're not on the tier 1. You might be on the tier 2 or 3. You're not in the inner circle. Yeah. But it actually works really well. Yeah. I think it kind of just like gets rid of that whole like expectation.
Absolutely. But I also think like one part of my growth, like growing up, I realized that all relationships are transactional. And I think once you, but not in like a bad way. I'm not like, got to look at relationships as a business transaction, but it is transactional. It goes two ways, input and output. And then once you realize that, I think you can then start looking more intentionally at all of your relationships and then kind of workshopping them from there.
Yeah, I think so too. So for this listener, I think I would just distance myself.
Unless you're like confrontational, unless you really do value this relationship and you want it to last long term, then have that conversation with that friend. But if not, then phase out.
Yeah, be okay with them. I guess be okay with whatever response you're going to get. If you're going to be confrontational, you need to be prepared for the response.
Find some new friends.
Yeah, honestly, don't stress too much about it. I just think it kind of shows where they're at and not where you are at. So thank you for sending in the dilemma. And thank you for jumping on.
No,
It's been
thanks for
so
having
nice
me.
to have you.
I
But
could yap for another 2
yeah,
hours.
we need to do, I feel like we need to have like a Tatenda episode without, because this was a get to know you just as much as it was, but I feel like there's things that we need to go into.
So much.
Because the conspiracies, I need to
Oh my
hear
gosh,
them.
I'll come back with like receipts.
Please come
I'll
with
back
receipts
like,
so we
dot
can
points
read
and an
through them.
essay.
Yeah. For anyone else that wants to send in the dilemma, you guys can do so by sending them through all the links in our bios. It's just bittersweet.podcast. Where can people find you?
They can find me at Tatenda Luna on everything.
On everything.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. Yeah.
I need to tune into your YouTube. That one I haven't. I
probably
haven't
don't
tapped
need
into.
to. I don't think. I haven't posted in a while.
Yeah, but I love it because I feel like YouTube's phase. People are not on YouTube as much anymore
It's just, yeah.
because TikTok has taken over. But then
The
I always
brands
see
aren't
that,
on YouTube. That's the problem, I think, as
but
well.
YouTube pays people.
YouTube itself pays people, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we need to. I think bringing back long form is
Yeah,
what
bring
we
it back.
need. Yeah,
It's
I'm
just
here
the
for it.
editing part that I'm just not good at.
Yeah, it's a long thing.
I'm
Editing
sitting on
is-
so many vlogs from like the last 2 years, like my cultural wedding.
Yeah,
I'm sitting on that vlog.
I saw the
There's a
photos
lot.
of that today. Actually, I was
did
like
you?
doing a little stalk as I do. Beautiful. That looks so beautiful.
It was amazing. It was so
Yeah.
fun. So good.
Maybe we'll talk about that on the next episode because I feel like on the next time you're on.
Intercultural marriages, that's another thing.
Yeah, you're coming back, right?
Am I?
Onto the Bittersweet podcast.
Can I?
Can we have it around two?
I'll be back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you next week.
Bye.